All right, we have our meeting minutes to approve from May 6th. Are there any changes, additions, corrections?
Make a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we've approved our minutes with no changes as presented. All right, we are going to move into our presentations. And our first presentation is County Affordable Housing Efforts across multiple departments. And Allison Banzoff, Kimberly Fullerton, Tyler Henry, Jason Hyatt, and Victoria Reichert are all joining us to present today. Welcome. We're glad you're here. And I believe, Allison, you are up first.
Good afternoon.
You can also use the clicker.
Oh, I can use it. Okay, thanks. Just the arrow?
Yes.
All right. So I think that every year we always start out talking about our main sources of funding, which are HCCBG and Buncombe County Supplemental Aging Funds. Just as a reminder, the HCCBG committee is approved by the county commissioners, and they are the ones that take the money from the federal government and from the county and make decisions as to how the money is spent. So this past year for HCCBG, housing and home improvement programs, those are just the things that are allowed through the HCCBG category. The categories of home improvement services, the restrictions per project and per household are $7,000. And every spring, the committee receives the applications, goes through and decides who gets HCCBG funding that falls within these particular categories. This year, Mountain Housing Opportunities was allocated money, as you can see. What they have been allocated in the past. This past year was $64,939, and the recommendation based on the income that we have for next fiscal year. We don't have the final numbers yet from the federal government. We're still waiting for those. We should have them any moment now, but based on what we think we're going to get, which is hopefully the same as in the past, the committee has recommended $50,000 for them. So you can see across time how many households they have impacted this past fiscal year so far, 25 households. And they do projects like repairing floors, installing grab bars, installing stairs, ramps, appliance water heater, those types of things. So, and their average investment for home, $2,598. This is only for people age 60 plus, all of these programs. And at the bottom, it talks about, you know, all the different things that the funding can be used for. The next one was, was the United Community Development of North Carolina Urgent Home Repair. The description that you see, they were funded $15,278 this past fiscal year. The target population is what they had listed in their application. Of course, 60 plus, low income, primarily African-American who live in legacy neighborhoods, trying to provide maintenance to homes, trailers with deferred maintenance issues due to poverty and system of exclusion. Unfortunately, this year, they only used 2% of their funding and repaired one home. So they are relinquishing their funding. They had some significant issues with the management system where they have to report their what they spend. Our aging services coordinator, Billy Breeden, offered to meet with them to go over that and explain that. We also have a contact, you know, at the Land of Sky who does HCCBG. Apparently, they also indicated that the home improvements that were needed by most people who were applying this year were much more significant than they were able to do because of the hurricane. And so there was a significant impact from the hurricane. And so they have referred a lot of folks out. So they would get the applications and then refer them out elsewhere. So anyway, just a whole series of kind of unfortunate events. So what happens is when they relinquish their funding, then the committee decides if another, you know, agency has overspent and they or going to overspend, and they will reallocate the money to that group. So unfortunately, this one didn't go as planned this year, but I think a lot of things did not because of the hurricane. Yes.
So the challenge related to the Department of Health and Human Services Aging Resource Management System, is that a broader systematic issue? Why did only one organization have issues with it? Is that something?
It's a very complicated
Really?
system. It is a very old system. It's not very user friendly. Anybody who receives this funding is required to use that system to enter their amount. I mean, there was help available. I mean, Billy had offered, and I guess the person didn't meet with her, and maybe they decided that based on the amounts of the things that were being requested, it wasn't worth it this year. But it is a hard system, and people have been advocating for years for that system to be updated. So,
do those changes rely on the legislature to fix it, or the governor's administration to fix it?
With
Yeah, that's okay. I'll look into it.
Yeah,
it'd be great to resolve that.
Land of Sky, they're the people that really have been advocating up through the state.
Okay.
It's the area agencies on aging who receive the income, who receive the HCCBG funding. And so they're kind of the go-tos for that, but they have been advocating for a long time. I remember doing things saying help advocate, for this system to be changed. So
I will talk to Land of Sky and figure out who to send the letter to.
Great. It's a frustrating system for a lot of people.
That is frustrating, and it's keeping folks from getting the help they need. So
right.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, I'm sure any advocacy towards that you could do would be very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Then we have our Buncombe County Supplemental Aging Funds that I know y'all know all about, but these are to supplement services where they don't fit in those HCCBG categories for people who are 60 plus. And so this past year, the committee funded Evelyn Charities Stability for Older Adults, and they were funded at $18,444. All of these are 60 plus. This is at or below 60% of the median income, and so up to $1,500. And again, pay utility bills to prevent evictions and those types of things. And I don't think that it was updated as to how many people that they have already served this year, but we'll have those numbers by the end of the year because this was the first time. And I just wanted to mention, on the wrong direction. This is not something that I just wanted to mention what the state did this year. So because of the hurricane, there were some funds given by the state for all the counties that had individuals who were impacted by Hurricane Helene. We were given 120 so thousand, something like that for Buncombe County. But it's only for individuals who are with adult protective services, involved in those services, or on our contracted guardianship services. So this was very specific to that group of people. But we pulled just to show how much was spent on housing supports this year from January to May. And we already used that money. And again, it's not county money, but we've spent $31,000 on housing supports for those people. And additional, we spent more than that, but typically that funding is in our budget as the family preservation funds for adult services. So we were really grateful this year that we've been able to pay for things like people being in facilities who needed it, home repairs, home modifications. We put in new plumbing, wheelchair ramps, those types of things. So I just wanted to mention that was like a huge thing that came from the state that we were very grateful for. But it does just show the need for funding, for our individuals who were in those very difficult situations. So. And the only other thing that I wanted to mention, and it's not on a slide, Billy Breeden, our aging services coordinator, has a work group called the Housing Options for Aging in Place. And it's a really great group that meets, and they have come up with an aging in place guide. It's a full guide. They don't have the money yet to print it, but people are reviewing it, looking at it, and finding it extremely useful. And so this is a committee that meets regularly to come up with ways to support housing in place, which I know is a county goal, strategic goal.
That's great.
In our strategic planning. So wanted to mention that.
Thanks, Allison. Could we get Billy to come share more with us some point about that?
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Thanks. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Are there any questions for Allison?
So just to repeat, you said committee that focuses entirely on. She
Yes, yes. That focuses on housing options for aging in place.
Yeah. I mean,
So what kinds of ways can they advocate? Is there anybody from that committee here?
Nancy is.
Hi.
Nancy Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been divided into two, part of it was
Nancy. We want everyone who's out there in Zoom land to hear us.
so there's a
Thank you.
lot of. Here's the button. It's on, thank you. So it's a lot of community partners and people involved with the services. We also have partners that are involved in the home repair piece, others who are looking at actual accessibility for property. So it is a great group with a lot of ideas. I haven't seen this yet, so I was going to email and take a look at this. So, but they meet monthly
That's
to kind
great.
of discuss
it's a
these.
great
That's
group.
great to know.
Yes,
Thanks.
absolutely.
We
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah, I
Yes, but
think
I'm sure
learning
Billy would
more,
love to come anytime.
learning more in the coming months would probably be good as that's something we're really cognizant of as a subcommittee as well. Great. Thanks, Allison. Always good to
Thank
see you.
you too.
Kimberly Fullerton is filling in for Philip Harden today with Economic Services. It's great to see you here.
Good afternoon. So we had several pots of money to help this winter after post-Helene with rental assistance and some mortgage assistance. So there were three main pots of money. The county invested ARPA funds, and these amounts that total a little over $2.3 million are the direct assistance funds. So this is the total that would go directly to clients because there are some admin dollars associated with these noted at the bottom. But these funds, ARPA from the county, the city invested their CDBG funds, and we just got the second round of that. So you can see there's round 1 and 2, and we're just kicking off round 2. And then the state kicked in some rental funds. So there's a few differentiations between each of these pots. With the ARPA dollars, we could actually offer mortgage assistance. With ARPA and CDBG, we were also able to offer utility assistance. The state is strictly just rent. And since this slide was provided, actually as of today, we have expended all the state rental assistance dollars. And the total impact so far, all of those add up to a little over 800 households. A couple other things, the ARPA and the CDBG are 80% of area median income, so that's the qualifications. And then the state's a little bit lower, it's 200% of federal poverty level.
Are there any questions for Kimberly?
I'll switch, there's one more slide, but I'm going to switch topics. The other program that we have is the homeowners grant program, and that one we do annually. That's not associated directly with Helene. We did extend it this year because of Helene. We have in the past, Buncombe County has contributed $300,000 with $150,000 from the city of Asheville for city residents. They get an extra $200, whereas Buncombe County residents get $300 to go towards tax, or sometimes it's to offset their tax payments. For FY26, those numbers for that program have dropped, but they are based on actual. So if we have the same demand, we should still be able to offer the same amount of services. And that will start July 1st.
You said 300 for
Mhm.
county, and if they're a city resident, they get an extra 200 for a total of
Correct.
500.
Yes.
And is that the same application, or do folks need to apply separately for city and then apply for county?
Same application. So they are
That's great.
automatically, if they're a city resident, they're automatically going to get the extra $200
You see, they're automatically.
if they're qualified.
Oh, if they're qualified. Okay.
We would automatically give them the extra $200 because they're a city resident versus just the $300 for Buncombe County residents.
Yeah, we've
Oh,
talked a lot about how it's been a bit undersubscribed, and having spoken with a lot of folks in the community that are on fixed incomes and are very much in need, oftentimes don't know about this. So we have discussed how to better elevate that, publicize it. So, you know, if there are other ideas on how we can do a better job of automatically enrolling folks in that. I know we send it out with property tax bills just because everybody gets that. It's a good way to flag it. I don't know if robocall systems or some way we can utilize that to really make sure folks know it's available, because it breaks my heart for folks to be struggling with pills and choosing between medication or putting food on the table sometimes and not even knowing this program exists. So
Thanks.
Is there something you could, I guess, could you briefly describe the qualifications?
For homeowner
requirements?
grants?
Yeah.
There are income guidelines, which would be the main qualification. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of small caveats, like you can't have more than one, like multiple properties. It has to be your primary residence. There is an exception if you have an adjoining property, like that would be okay if there's not another residence on it. So there's those small things, but overall, it's mainly an income-based program in that they're a resident.
Is it the federal poverty level? Is the threshold?
I would
or-
have to pull that to see exactly what that income level is for that program.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We appreciate it.
thanks, Will.
Tyler Henry is joining us with an update from Strategic Partnerships. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon. All right, so just to start real quick, as usual, we'll do a recap of what the actual funding is, where it came from. So in 2021, the American Rescue Plan Act, or also we shorthand for ARPA, created a program, Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, which is what we're discussing about today. It provided direct, flexible funding from the U.S. Treasury, funds to invest towards recovery from COVID-19 and its negative economic impacts. The county had received approximately $50.7 million at that time. Prior to receiving the funds, the county held multiple input sessions to understand needs of the community and how the public wanted to prioritize the use of these funds. And what came out of that is affordable housing ranked the highest amongst all of the priorities. Out of to all the housing related ARPA investments, there's 24.9 out of that 50.7 million. So approximately 49% of all of our funds are in housing related projects. And so this is just a quick overview of the major categories. So affordable housing, this is more related to development of affordable housing. We have homelessness response, household assistance, and home repair. And this time around, compared to when we provided an update last year, the major change to these categories is the 1.5 million additional funding in household assistance. So just to break it down a little further, we have our projects for the affordable housing development. So there's Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity, Mountain Housing Opportunities, Haywood Street Community Development, Homeward Bound, and then also Cox Avenue Affordable Housing, which is an internal project. Out of all of these projects, there's a total unit estimation of 455 new units that would be developed through these projects. And that is also, these numbers do not reflect the additional units that would be developed with Ferry Road. Next is household assistance. So we have a list here. So Thrive, Evelyn, Greenbuilt, the ARC of Buncombe County, Land of Sky, Collaborativa of Milpa, and Buncombe County's internal home repair projects are all slated to assist over 1,570 households once all projects have been completed. And this is a cumulative number of all projects and investments that have been active since 2021 through today. These projects cover community needs such as rental assistance, energy efficiency upgrades, internet access, workforce development, and repairs to existing housing stock. Finally is homelessness related projects. So there's only two here, but they are very impactful. So the first one is Helpmate, which is building a 42-bed shelter for survivors of domestic violence. And then the next is the COC/HIAC shelter support. And so that is where we have partnered with the city of Asheville as well as 3 other organizations. And so supporting operations across 3 organizations, including 40 previously existing beds, and the addition of 17 new beds. That's all. Any questions?
Do we have a status update on any of the ARPA affordable housing developments progress status?
So I haven't included that, but there are a lot of those projects. Are you referring to the development ones?
Yes, yes.
A lot of them have either broken ground or have completed spending funding for
Okay.
The projects here.
Okay.
And so some of those have closed out, although they are still under development. So they've spent the funds that we have granted.
They've spent it. Okay. Thank you.
But as far as the most recently active project is Mountain Housing, which had a groundbreaking just after the hurricane.
Yes, they did. That was great.
And then aside from that, Ferry Road and Cox Avenue are the lingering ones to kick off.
We're moving. We're moving.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Tyler?
Yeah, so I'm kind of comparing this to the last presentation on homeowner assistance and thinking about how folks find out about these programs and apply. And I know we've got Thrive providing rental assistance. And it looks like potentially others that are providing rental assistance, but is there one portal for folks to go to find out about this information? Or what's the best way for folks who just are in need of assistance to find out their menu of
As
options?
far as like any new or active projects, I don't have an answer for that. I would probably refer to our housing experts in the room. But as far as like these projects, all information as far as like these projects are available on our website. Just Buncombe County /ARPA. Should be the first Google that pops up. And then a lot of these projects are led by external partners. So nonprofits that applied for the funding and were granted and selected. And so any chance that we get to promote or to share resources that they have, we welcome that, and we'll share as we can, work with Kate on that as well. But as far as a single source or location, I'm not aware of one that exists today.
If folks called like the one Buncombe number, and they just said, I need help with I can't afford rent, would they get directed to these programs, I assume?
Often the call centers like One Buncombe or 211 would be able to redirect folks to those programs. Given that many of the programs serve different populations and have different eligibility criteria, sometimes that's not as easily navigated with a single application.
Totally, yeah.
But there are conversations in the community about partnerships between those programs to help streamline some of those applications and referrals.
Okay, cool. Folks at One Buncombe really are wizards. They know all the things. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, though. It's not a singular, there's not a singular system that folks can really
Yeah.
go to access all these.
When folks are facing poverty, it's
Yeah.
it's already hard enough. So
Yep.
I keep hitting those questions. So. Yeah,
It's tough.
I'll take it down.
All right. Thanks, Tyler. I believe Jason Hyatt is joining us from the library.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the libraries are maybe a surprising partner when it comes to this topic. So I'm glad to just give you a little bit of information about how we're involved. And work the remote. So the library has two main initiatives that overlap and help serve populations in our county that may be experiencing housing insecurity or other issues. The first is a library safety associate. This is a full-time county position that was added to the library staff last fiscal year. We intentionally moved away from a model that had uniform contracted security to one that had a full plainclothes library staff member who is part of our library team. Again, a full county staff member, because we really wanted to have somebody there that could build relationships, be a welcoming face, and also have the full background and knowledge, the same as any other library staff member, about the resources that are available. Pleased to say that that model worked exceptionally well. The person that we hired had a fantastic background of social work and law enforcement and mental health. Ironically, he was not able to secure long-term housing. And so that position has been vacant since right before Helene. It's currently posted now and we're actively recruiting, but we know that that model works. And we saw a decrease in incidents that happened with conduct and behavioral issues in the library and an increase in staff confidence and comfort level, especially at Pack Memorial Library downtown. The other piece where that relates is because the library safety associate works really closely with all library staff and also with our part-time social worker case manager, who's an employee of Homeward Bound. Every year in the library's budget, we have about $70,000 that goes for this Homeward Bound partnership. That allows for the part-time caseworker to spend an average of 20 hours a week on site at Pack Memorial Library. Their primary goal as an employee of Homeward Bound is focused on dealing with housing issues, but they're also a resource for anyone else that comes in and may be dealing with mental health or connection to other resources. They help de-escalate. They work with library staff when you may need to redirect someone to AHOPE or some of the other services that are involved. And one interesting thing that we like to point out about this, oftentimes we direct people to AHOPE, but they don't serve under 18. And so the case manager through Homeward Bound that is working out of Pack Library is a resource for families that have members who are under 18. So oftentimes Homeward Bound will direct a family to go to Pack Library so that they can work with the case there in a way that they're unable to do at AHOPE. So we're really proud of that relationship. In the year ahead, we are looking at ways that we can support some of our other library locations, which have had an uptick in some heightened scenarios. People are really stressed and stretched thin, and you know about all the challenges. And so unfortunately, that shows up in how people show up at the library. In fiscal year 25, our social worker with Homeward Bound served over 140 clients directly. And I've got a long list of active diversions where they helped reroute someone who was potentially facing being homeless into housing. In one case, a great success story, they had somebody who's in the age 62 and over category who was able to come and through their services apply for housing, find and secure affordable housing, and then Homeward Bound assisted them in getting their new apartment furnished. So that's the type of success story we like to see. We're grateful for the budgetary support and the programmatic support that allows us to continue to try and make the library a safe resource for everyone.
Are there any questions for Jason?
So really quick, sorry, Jason, did you mention that we have a part-time social worker or a library safety associate in NOAA?
We don't.
We don't. Okay.
We don't. Yeah. The library safety associate is based out of Pack Library, but they are available when that position is filled. They are available to help with situations that come up at any other location.
Yeah.
And we're working through the contract renewal right now with Homeward Bound and kind of emphasizing that we may need some support at locations beyond just Pack Library. So
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for all the critical work you do, Jason.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it, Jason. And Victoria Reichert
Hello.
is joining us with behavioral health. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me. So I'm here to just kind of give some perspectives around behavioral health related work that also has an impact on supporting those that are in need of stable housing. And so the first one, we are using funds that are part of a statute where we are to allocate these funds to our local management entity, managed care organization. So Via Health is in our catchment area. And this is to help support individuals that may have mental health, intellectual and developmental delays, and substance use, and that are uninsured and not eligible for Medicaid. And so one program we are currently supporting with these funds is coordinated entry and permanent supportive housing with Homeward Bound. Coordinated entry continues to see a high volume of individuals being screened, a significant amount of diversion assessments, which focus on the individual's existing resources and options outside of the formal homeless system to resolve the housing situations quickly. This year, as of January, we have seen the largest percentage of vulnerability assessments recommending permanent supportive housing, meaning more individuals being assessed have complex situations that require more wraparound support to maintain that housing. So in FY23, about 66% about the same time period. Last year, we had around 73%. And as you see here, we're at 92%. So that's a large percentage of individuals that are needing additional support. They've been unhoused for a significant amount of time. In terms of moving into housing, this is also the lowest number of individuals that have moved into housing. Last year, we had our highest when Compass Point opened. And there's some other, I think, projects in the works that we hope to help increase some of that availability, continuing to kind of see a reduction in households served in permanent supportive housing due to a variety of factors, one being the changes in the Asheville Housing Authority and accepting those applications and the timing and just that's changed their numbers on how they've gotten folks in. And then I've added this one for this year. Primarily, it's again part of the VIA Health Maintenance of Effort funds, but I wanted to highlight what All Souls Counseling has been doing. They've really expanded their outreach, being community-based. So they have expanded to meet people where they are out in the community, providing mental health supportive services at Haywood Street and First Baptist during their market days, with many of their participants who are unhoused. And they've also been very instrumental in the Hurricane Helene response by having clinicians at community care stations and other events to provide services at no cost to individuals. So I wanted to highlight that, as obviously a lot of our folks experienced housing instability through the storm, and having that place for someone to talk to. And this is not part of the slide, but I also just want to give a shout out. Another funder that, or another organization we are funding is the Partnership for Substance Free Youth, that again, during the storm, you know, handing out lock boxes for medications, helping to make sure our young people are safe as families maybe are more transient and trying to figure out where to keep their things safe. And so that was a significant help that they provided. And then to touch on our community paramedicine, which is part of our emergency services program. So they continue to have some great coordination with a variety of providers that are site-based in coordinating individuals that are unhoused and getting the care that they need. One thing recently just highlighting is our communicable disease nurses uses our community paramedicine to help find folks that maybe are on a protocol, getting that treatment. They can't find them. They don't know how to contact them so that they can continue to get that treatment. So that's been very instrumental in the health and care of our individuals, our neighbors. And so we continue to see similar numbers to fiscal year 24. In calendar year 24, community paramedicine saw a reduction in the number of overdoses that they were responding to, which is a huge success that we're seeing a reduction in the number of overdoses. However, I wanted to just highlight the percentage of individuals being inducted on medications for opioid use disorder has increased. So even as we're seeing a decrease in the number of responses, more people are getting on medications for opioid use disorder, which helps people become more stable. They're now able to follow through on maybe tasks, completing that application with Homeward Bound or other providers. So that's like a key component, right? So it's the behind the scenes type of work that helps people to be able to secure stable housing. And then another one that I think I shared with you all last year as well, it was a partial year, but part of the opioid settlement funds and based on community feedback, knew that addressing those social determinants of health needs are important. And so now with almost a year worth of funding can show that 57% has gone towards housing retention or helping people, you know, the steps that are needed to get into housing or to secure some recovery housing. And so that's about 112,000 that have gone towards housing support. And as you can see, communication, as I just mentioned, right, being able to follow up on landlords or phone calls or whatever that situation might be is important, but lots of other little important aspects.
Victoria, where are folks finding that housing?
So a lot of, I would say a majority of this has been retaining housing. Or it's a recovery house. So that recovery house is not necessarily a long-term plan. It is as someone who is kind of entering into recovery, needs that stability, that accountability, and kind of wraparound support, which then helps get them ready to maybe find housing. But that continues obviously to be the challenge of really where's that individual housing that someone can go when they're stable, and to continue their recovery journey.
Great. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. And then the last thing that I don't have a slide, which I'll be sharing with the Greater Commission today, is the Community Development Block Grant Recovery Housing Program. That's to help Transformation Village expand. We were just awarded an additional 2.5 million on top of the 1 million already awarded, which came obviously after the storm. You all may have heard Veterans Restoration Quarters that ABCCM runs was destroyed. And so I think NC Commerce really was willing to say, what else do you all need? How can we help support this project while ABCCM is trying to rebuild another project? So that's moving along with an environmental review about to be submitted this month. So that again will hopefully provide some more transitional type housing, but for women and mothers that are in recovery from substance use, and 32 of the 64 units. So hopefully that will include some additional housing as people are getting stable to use. So those are my updates.
Any questions for Victoria? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks to all of our presenters today. We appreciate the good updates and for taking some time to be with us. Thank you. All right, Jonathan, you're up next with AHSP extensions.
So this item was listed as new business, but it would probably be more of an administrative update on the awards for FY25 Affordable Housing Service Program. As you recall, earlier in the spring, there were extensions granted for the grant programs. Considering the challenges over the last 9 months due to Tropical Storm Helene. So we are looking at the loan commitments that have been made from this year's budget. 4 projects that are still in the process of working towards closing, 4 construction projects, and 1 contract for down payment assistance. And the staff would be to provide these projects with a 6-month extension through December 31st, 2025. So for Laurelwood, who has 104 units in their plan with a $800,000 loan, they are working through their closing documents as we speak. So this would give them a little more cushion to complete that process. They already have their 4% LIHTC awarded. Redwood Commons, they also already have their 9% tax credits for a 70-unit project that has been awarded a little over 1.8 million in Affordable Housing Service Program funds. They are still working on completing their capital stack and working towards a project closing and start. Then we also have Rocky River. Fitch Eric is the developer with 120 units at a little over 8.7 million in Affordable Housing Service Program funds. They are planning to close later this fall. They've notified the staff that, much like Lakeshore Villas, their environmental review indicated that there were some bat habitats that they needed to negotiate the timing of their project to get started. So that should be happening later in the fall. Pine Lane, which has a commitment of a little over 8.6 million for 126 units, is working through their 4% LIHTC award and plans to close this fall as well. We included the Habitat for Humanity's down payment assistance contract. They have already entered that contract and have begun just this week. Will be closing on their first home with one of the home buyers. So just extending the time for them to go ahead and get the other 3 home buyers set up in their new homes. So what we would do is extend commitment letters to the 4 construction loan projects and extend the time frame on that Asheville Habitat DPA program.
Do you need an official vote on that?
We typically haven't required a vote to extend those deadlines for the projects, just helping give them a little bit more time towards the end of the year. And then at that point, bring that back to you all for consideration as we look forward to the next application cycle.
Great. I think that's fair. I think considering everything our community's been through, giving them an extension is the right course of action right now. Are there any questions, comments on that? Right.
Just let us know how they go,
How
like,
they go.
like everything else we talked about today. Let us know
How's it
how they're
going?
progressing.
Glad to share updates as they happen and let you know as groundbreaking has occurred.
Yes, please do. Those are always great to attend to. All right, our next steps.
So the July meeting has been canceled. Your decision last month, and then in August we will be bringing forward the quarterly reports, which will include the year-end updates, as well as appointments of chair and vice chair, and depending on the time frame of the appointment of the new members to the committee,
Yes.
they may be available.
Right. Just a
After-
quick update on that. We had nearly 20 applicants apply. I think we have a couple of commissioners still making some decisions on who they want to bring forward for interviews, but we'll set some times tonight at our meeting for interviews on June 17th. So we should have them ready to go for August for sure.
Sounds good. And then in September, we anticipate that the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency will make their announcements on tax credit awards. That usually happens in August, but we would bring that update forward. in September.
Excellent. Questions, further discussion? Not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Sorry, quick
Nope, go for it.
question. Sorry to jump back to way earlier. And maybe this goes nowhere, but I just want to open up for consideration of my fellow commissioners. For the homeowner grant, we're currently getting about 50% of those funds out the door. And with increasing costs of inflation, and Duke Energy just got their rate increase and water increases, should we consider raising the cap up from 300 to maybe 350? Because I mean, it's under prescribed already. I don't know, just a possible consideration to help get more of those funds out the door.
Where do you see the 350 through?
Sorry, for FY25 homeowner grant program. So it's currently set at a max of 300. Folks can apply to get $300 to assist through the homeowners grant program. And I'm wondering if we increase that to 350, would that help us get funding out the door? Because by my calculation, that's about 500 folks took advantage of that. Currently about 1,000 people can utilize those funds. If we increase it to 350, that would make it about 857 people that we could help with that program. I haven't gotten much sleep, so sorry if I'm talking Latin.
No, I'm just wrapping my head around it. Is that possible for us to make that change in the last month of the FY25 budget?
That I'm not sure exactly where that cap is set.
It might be set for us.
Homeowner grant program is outside of the Affordable Housing Service Program
Right.
here, so might need to get some clarification on steps to make that recommendation and change.
Yeah.
Bring it back to you.
There may be a full commission discussion then.
I'd also be interested to, another way to tackle that would be expanding the eligibility. But we talked about this a couple of years ago, and I just don't remember what the answer to that question was.
Yeah, and it sounded like from Kimberly, and I think she's already left, from Kimberly's presentation, that there's some income guidelines that come along with that may be out of our hands to change. I might be wrong on my interpretation. I'm seeing a few heads kind of nodding. I don't know.
I think this program is
DK,
tied.
do you know more?
Yeah, well, a little bit more, we can seek some clarification. I think the program for FY25 application has closed.
Okay.
But it's drafted, the program was crafted around our economic services program. So the guidelines had to meet income requirements, and there were a few others. We'll give you an update, but that could be an option for 2026.
Okay.
Expansion of looking at the program guidelines and determining how we can adjust that to provide more focus.
Okay,
Is
thank
this the
you.
one where we set the criteria to with how much the threshold people had to have in savings?
Well,
Am I
the first
confusing
year,
two
we
different
did have
things?
the
Okay.
threshold for liquid.
Yes, for liquid.
assets,
Yes,
but
thank you.
I'll double check, but in the current program, I think we removed that. That was a conversation you all had
Mhm.
at the dais as well.
Right. That's what I'm remembering.
We either lowered the maximum that they could have, or we removed it altogether. But we'll follow up and get y'all an update on all the current
Mhm.
criteria so you can consider before it opens up.
That'd be
if
great.
There's some adjustments that could be made program. So I'll get with David Sweat. The program is managed through
Yeah, HHS.
HHS.
Great. Thanks,
Amazing.
Nikki.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
All right, sorry to pull that out of left field from earlier in
No,
the
no, great questions.
discussion.
Great questions.
With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned at 1:51. Thanks, everyone.